Welcome to our highly esteemed agents and investors nationwide. Today is Thursday, September 26th, 2024, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 498. I have nothing to start with today. Tim, what do you got for us?
498. So we got 2 more weeks, huh? Till we
Yep.
hit the big 500.
Yes, sir.
I can move it to a.
That's crazy. Um, well, I was going to start off with I won't say a somber, but a serious note. You'll note I'm wearing my Florida State University cap today. The people on the panhandle of Florida are probably going to have the worst hurricane that the people who will be experiencing it have ever had. Tallahassee hasn't had a direct hit since I've lived in Florida, so that's over 30 years, and from what I understand, ever. Appalachia Bay is going to really get beat up pretty badly. So just kind of bringing that up so that if you're of a mind to, those are people you need to keep in your thoughts and prayers, and we're certainly mindful of it here. Regardless of your political affiliation, I have to say our governor and the state has done a good job of preparedness, but they're going to get beat up pretty bad. And so that's of a concern to us. Be fortunate that you're not experiencing that where we are. Jim and I are on the East Coast, and most of our people are on the East Coast of Florida. So we'll get some wind and water, but not much else out of that. So we kind of dodged a bullet. But that's kind of the thing that's on our minds this morning as we kind of go about our day. Anyway, having said that, we're going to hope for the best for them. And the good news is that they've got a good long time to get prepared, and they're going to have some problems, but they're resilient people. We're going to talk today a good bit about divorce. I urge you to ask your questions. We've got a couple of things that we're going to tell you. We have an offer that we've never made before to give you an incentive if you haven't already stepped up and added divorce to your arsenal. We're going to talk about that. We've also got a new tool that we're going to show you as well a bit later in the call. I alluded to it last week, and we just ran out of time to do it, and I'll show it to you today, and we will be making it available to you next week. So it'll be available as of the 1st. And that's kind of where we are. If you have questions, if you have things you'd like to talk about, at the bottom of your screen, there's a button that says raise hand. And if you click that magic button, your little hand will go up. We'll see you. We'll invite you to unmute yourself, and we'll hear your wonderful things. It's not a hot seat. We don't embarrass people. We really, really want to hear from you. And this is the best place to get your questions answered. Sometimes people put things in chat. They want to not necessarily talk. And I will simply tell you, this is a very easy way to get that done. So that's kind of where we are at this point. Anybody has any things they'd like to talk about, whether it's divorce or probate or anything else that's going on, this is your call, not our call. We're here to take your questions, and excited about doing that. Bruce, what's going on in your world? Today is your last day for this round of live mastery. You're muted, Bubba. You're muted.
I forgot to turn my mic on. Yeah, today's the last day of our probate mastery training series that we do live periodically. Anyone that doesn't know, that's on demand. Most people come in and they get a couple of different versions of probate mastery. Each version is 15 hours. We kind of let you choose your track. You can either watch my most recent live trainings, 5 sessions. It goes over everything that you need to know to build your business. Or Chad's version is also still in there. You guys get to choose the path. And then every now and then I pop in and I do it live. And so if you've missed the last 4 weeks, I'm sorry. I jump over and take Probate Mastery. You could always come live today or catch us live the next time or watch it on demand. But that's what I've got going on this week.
Cool. Aline or Bill, you guys have anything you'd like to throw out there this morning or afternoon, wherever you are? Bill, it's morning for you, I know.
I don't know what you guys are seeing in your market, but I think seniors as a whole are being more aggressive about inquiring and selling their homes, because almost all my leads that I have, and they're coming out of my all the leads, most of them are people that have had a spouse pass away. They're either checking their home bot more, or they're calling and asking for a CMA, or they're saying love to chat about the market. So I just think everyone should be paying attention to those leads that you got that had a spouse that's surviving.
Very good. Great point. Great point. And to this point, I mean, one of the things that you need to be focused on, just considering the realities of life, is that, you know, people tend to die older rather than younger. And if you are going to do the things that you need to be doing in regard to probate, you need to be focusing your energy on everything that's going on for seniors in your marketplace. First of all, it's a great place to build a referral network of all the services and people that work that in that arena, whether that's people that do hospice or memory care facilities or anything like that that's going on. You know, those are the people that, you know, are the people who are dealing with, unfortunately, the people who are closer to an end of life experience. And the more you become familiar with those people and they become familiar with you and what you can add, that's very inexpensive marketing. All you have to do is be right place, right time, at the right frame of mind for them. And you should be working those opportunities wherever you can. Dill, I see your hand up there. We're going to go ahead and ask you to unmute. What's going on, man?
Morning. Well, good afternoon. So I'm looking at the divorce leads, and some of them have addresses that are out of state for both parties. So I'm just thinking, if they don't have a New York address, they're applying for a divorce in New York. With are there any assets involved in New York that they're not showing up, or don't know too much about as a news? So maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, we just randomly throw them in there just to, you know, make it interesting for you. The issue there is that in every case, we try to furnish you property that is available in your marketplace where the transaction can take place. So the theory is that if it's there, and if are you saying that the husband and wife's address are both outside of New York?
That's right. So I'm looking, one right now is in Marco Island, Florida, and both addresses.
Yep, I got you. And that may well be the case. A good example that you just picked. So, you know, they may live in Marco Island, but they own property in your marketplace. That's why it's there. So what we try to do, we err on every place we get the opportunity. Where's that transaction? Where's the property that people own? So when we're doing it with that pre-probate or any of the other ones, we try to furnish them based on where that property is so that you have the opportunity. And that's a great lead for you because they're not in your marketplace. So they may be needing someone in your marketplace to help them move that property because they don't live there anymore.
Gotcha. But the address in New York is not showing up here. Only see the two Florida addresses. But the property that they own in New York, I don't see the address, but chances are they do own a property. That's why they.
Yeah, that's correct. And there should be property that's there. Jody, do you want to maybe take it offline, take a look at what Dill's looking at? Or type up? Here, unmute you. There you go, bud.
Yeah, definitely, Gil. I'll reach out to you, and if you can get me the specific information, we'll look into that and see what it is. I'll get back to you.
Well, no problem.
Absolutely, because the whole idea is that we're trying to furnish you as much as possible the most actionable data, and that's the reason it would be in there. If they're both in Marco Island, chances are very logical that they moved down there and they got close enough to where Jim lives that they decided they didn't like each other anymore and decided it was time to not be together. That's probably what it was, right, Jim?
Yeah, I've been married for 38 years, so let's not go there.
All right. So yeah, Bill, we'll get back to you on that. And anything,
No,
appreciate you asking the question. Hey, Blake, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody else doing?
Good.
So I have a question about being at the actual table with negotiations. So I'm anticipating the administrator is going to be appointed today in court, and the person who's occupying the house doesn't really want to sell, but they gave me a counter offer of 650,000. The house is probably worth low sevens after repairs. I started off at 400 and then got all the way up to 440. So my intention is to try to wholesale the property. I'm just wondering if you guys have any techniques or tactics as far as when you're actually at the table.
Yeah. So tell me the numbers again real quick.
So after repairs, it's probably low sevens. I think it needs about at least 50, 60,000 worth of repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted about, like I said, 650 was his counteroffer so far, but technically he's not the administrator yet, and he's likely not to be.
Mm.
So I'm hoping today to get some update regarding who's been appointed. And like I said, I started at low fours. I'm thinking five, I'll probably back out like around five-ish range. So I'm trying to figure out what I potentially could offer. And another thing that makes it a little more complicated is that it's just not a house involved. There's a piece of land as well. So they're two separate parcels that I'm trying to offer up for. And as far as finding estimates for the land is a little bit more complicated, as far as 'cause I've called the county assessor and everything. With the house, I offer them some comps already. I show them this is what a 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom house goes for in your area in the past year. And as you see, there's only like one house older than that one because this house was built in the 60s and they're kind of expecting top dollars for it when it's
Where are you getting
actually
your
not worth
comps
it.
from?
I'm just using like a service like PropStream, and I've used Zillow and Redfin and all that and just calculate the averages of what the open market is going for retail.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just going to show them what retail kind of goes for, what after repair value is, and then what my offer is, and how much they would save on closing cost and realtor
Yep.
costs and everything.
Okay. I think that the majority of people on this call with a license are kind of shuddering a little bit with using PropStream and Zillow and
Mm-hmm.
platforms like that. I mean, you don't have MLS access, so that's what you have.
Mm-hmm.
I would connect with an agent in your area and try to get better comps.
Mm-hmm.
I realize you want to contract the house, so
Mm-hmm.
completely understandable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
with some people that wholesale, as an agent, I've been able to connect with them and say, "Hey, look, I'm here to support your um, goal of wholesaling the property, but I think it's
Mm-hmm.
a good idea to be able to present a purchase option or a contract option and a listing option." And depending on your presentation skill and style, you should be able to weight the benefit one way or the other. So when I go on an appointment, I generally am going to weight the benefit toward the listing because I have a listing agent background.
Mm-hmm.
If I was an investor, I would weight the benefit, spin the benefit toward taking a cash offer. I'd put that spin on it. If a wholesaler that I work with brings a deal in, then I go in and basically lay it out 50-50. I'm not trying to put a spin on it either way. My suggestion would be to find an agent that you can connect with, find a way to legally um, uh, get, if you bring a deal, get a little piece.
Mm-hmm.
As a wholesaler, I like wholesaling to the end user, to the open market, because there's a lot of properties that might need updates that aren't trash. They're not flip jobs. There are plenty of end users that would pay a retail price for it. You might look at it and say, I would put 60,000 into this. Some buyers that are end buyers that are looking for an affordable house would go in and say, I don't need to put 60 in it. I'll live in it the way it is if I can buy it at instead of 700, if I could buy it at 580.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing that says that you can't get a contract at 530 and still have margin there if your audience that would take the assignment is the end consumer and not an investor. Now, I don't know this property. I don't know if 60,000 is a total, if it's a total gut job and it has to be done or not. That's what I don't know. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how how bad the house is. If is it unlivable with the repairs that it needs, or is it something that someone would want to live in the way that it is? I guess that would be my first question.
You
Is it?
said, when he started, Cully, you said, I thought that the person who's living in it doesn't want to sell it. Is that right?
Yeah, so they're two relatives. One is occupying the home, but the one that's applied for administrator is kind of favored to be appointed, and the one that doesn't want to sell is one that's actually living in the house right now. And yeah, it's in livable condition.
Is there a will?
No, there's no will.
Okay, and what's the relationship family-wise between the two? Are they brother sister? What is it?
Yeah, they're brothers, and it's a little contentious. So
I got it. I mean, and the other side of it is the guy that said he wanted what you think is an unfair price for it, and everybody gave you the right advice about make sure you get data you can back up with hard facts that are considered conventional data. But the other side of that is you need to find out what the guy's motivation is who doesn't want to move. Does he not want to move because he doesn't think he can afford to live anywhere else? Maybe the house has fallen down around him, he doesn't have the money to go do it, all those things. And you find out what could happen to him if in fact the house were to be sold. What would happen to him? What would he stand to put in his pocket? Is the house free and clear right now? Do you know?
yeah, the house is free and clear, and that is one of the reservations about him selling is like, I don't know where I would live. And he's saying like, oh, I see all these other people houses sell down the street for me for like crazy bank, and he's saying like, I'm not going to sell for 400 when I see these houses down the street. They're upgraded, renovated, and flipped for so much more money.
Or how old are they?
They're in their probably their early 50s, late 40s, maybe.
So is it fair to say that the gentleman that is occupying in this house, this is the only inheritance he's going to get? This is a retirement plan, or is he pretty well-to-do guy?
I mean, he's a government worker, so I'm sure he has
Okay.
pretty good benefits and all that. And
Okay.
he works for the postal service, so he
Yeah.
knows like I'm a mailman. I see all these houses all the time. So, and he's saying like other people have approached me for buying this
Yeah.
house before, so he knows what the market is for it.
So what I found helpful in this situation is when I take off my investor hat. I've definitely flipped probates, and it's very lucrative in my opinion. But my point is I make my game plan for the house, then I give them, okay, this is your retail solution, this is your solution if you rent it, and this is the solution that I want them to take, which is sell me the property. But I give them all three options. And, Bruce is correct. I'm going to weight it to selling me the property, but I've got to go in a way that I am solving his problems. Because if both these brothers end up in a lawsuit, they're going to spend a lot of money. And at the end of the day, the probate court's going to say what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. This guy really has no choice, right? So I would also offer up solutions of where is he going to move? What's the advantage of he going to move? Can he buy another house? Is that a nice option for him? Bring things that are service to him that may not get your deal done right away, but it'll create some sense of a phone call, loyalty, whatever you want to call it. But you just cannot, what I'm hearing from you is you want him to sell you the property, but you're not offering a perk. The other thing I often do is I say, I'll take it as is. I'll pay for a mover to move all your personal property. If you need to find a home or a rental, I will not do it myself. I'll have another agent do it. And I might spiff that agent to make sure it goes well. But these are all things that you bring to the table that I guarantee most flippers or investors do not bring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to, oh, I'm sorry, Tim.
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay. I would just say, Coley, all of this advice is excellent. And, having a go-to agent, partner up with somebody that if the investment part doesn't seem like it's going well, you can offer that. And then that agent can also be someone that helps you with the CMA, a proper CMA. And if there's somebody living in the property, you can ask, find out if we had a place for you to go and can put it on the market and potentially get X, Y, and Z, then what? And you have that agent. So have somebody that you can partner up with.
And just to add to that, Corey, the nice part about that, if you have an agent you trust that lists it, sometimes people have an inflated opinion going in, 2, 3, 4 months down the road if it hadn't sold, and they're considering going the investment option, that agent, you should be the first one they call. So it's kind of getting first in line to buy it if the situation changes by having control of what agent lists it.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, the big thing that
Thanks.
everybody's kind of giving you a kind of all around the same thing. The guy who has the contentious situation you're dealing with, the more you can find out his motivation and what you can do to help him deal with something that he obviously finds that he doesn't want to go do, or he wants to hold up for a lot of money so he can afford to go do it. It says to me, thinks it's worth a lot of money. He's thinking, all right, so half of whatever we get's mine. What could I do with, $300,000+? I mean, if you think about it in its simplest terms, if that's what he wants and it's free and clear, then, that's what he's thinking. So, that you wouldn't get that necessarily all the way through, but tax issues, other issues to play with, but you're getting to the point where, he's looking at a certain amount of money he'd have to go do something else. So start there and figure out what you can do to help him get there. And the one thing that everybody told you for sure is get yourself a relationship with, and you need to do this anyway, a realtor that you can work with on a regular basis to help you with things like this, because you're going to run into this over and over and over again. And those are the kinds of things we always say. If you're an investor, you need that. If you're a realtor, you need to have investors, and vice versa. So, we've kind of talked about that before. You need to obviously have that in your pocket. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Alrighty. Roger, what's up, buddy?
I've had a similar situation occur a couple of years ago between two sisters that had inherited a house. One of them wanted her money right now. The other one was pregnant with a child and had a child here, and she said, "I can't move. I have to stay in the house. There's my boyfriend over here is going to jail for a year, and I'm unable to do anything to work because I have two children." I didn't know what the heck I was going to do to try to solve that, but what I found was an investor who I approached with this kind of a solution. Dude, you buy the house, and then the money that from the house would be split 50-50 between the two girls. The one that wants her money now will get it now. The one that has got to wait a year will have her money in her pocket, and she will pay you 18 months of payments on the amortization schedule. So you will get all of that interest in the sale off the mortgage. And when her boyfriend gets out of jail, they can turn around and sell the house and become whole again when that takes place. My investor was a little hesitant. He went over and looked at the house. He said, "The house is in pretty good shape. Are you sure that this is what's going?" I said, "I'll let you talk to both of them." Talked to both of them, and it came out the same story. One wanted her money now. The other one needed a place to live for about a year. And we went off, and so we pulled off the deal. As it turned out, within 12 months, her boyfriend got out of jail, and the University of Arkansas bought the property to expand and part of their thing. I bumped into the lady that had to stay there. The other one that got her money, they went off to Arizona, and I was in Delhi about a year later, and she came up and hugged my neck and said everything worked out perfect. And I sit there and I said, "Great, I'm glad it worked out." I don't know how that might solve the problem with the wholesale and wholesaler who wants to wholesale, but it seems to be that there's a good way, and I think there are options available for financing a property like that that can solve people's problems. I just wanted to share that and say thanks for letting me speak. God bless.
A good one, buddy. That's a good one. I love that solution. You're very always creative. That's one thing I always love about the way you approach things. And I'll say this to pay tribute to my friend there. Roger is the most giving guy I know, and he always tries to do things that work out well for the people that are involved and puts himself in their position. And he leads with the value of his heart. I appreciate that, buddy. You're a good man. Hey, Casey, how are you? And Patty, I see your hand up. We'll get to you in a second. Casey, what's up?
Hey guys, thanks. I just wanted to piggyback off of everything that everybody said. One thing that I did notice is the comps that kept coming up. I feel like that's too much information for a seller, especially for an investor to give. People make decisions based off of emotion and then justify later with logic. So if you could hold off on giving that logic and hone in on the emotion. Number one, you do need the correct decision maker. It doesn't sound like you know that that's going to be this person or not. So building that relationship to find out who the decision maker is and making sure that you're there and top of mind when it's determined who that person is, but having the emotional connection. Why do you need to sell the house? What are your plans going to be? What's the best outcome for you? How does that make you feel? And really diving into the why, not so much putting numbers on it. And it felt like there was a big emphasis on the number, and that's what the roadblock was going to be. So that was all I wanted to point out.
Great point. Absolutely great point. Patty, unmute yourself there.
Good afternoon. Hey, back to a separate subject that we talked about earlier. You were talking about the referral network, and we just opened a new office in the Macon area. I have another office in Fayetteville, South Atlanta area, and so I have my network, my referral network from up there, and I always built it as referrals, and I never had any fees, structure, or anything like that. Do any of you do any kind of referral fees for your referral network, or do you always, or just I'd like to get your feedback, or do you do it more as referral?
Mm-hmm. So I'll speak into that in terms of what I do, and I typically don't take a referral fee because my agreement is that you do the best job, you're on time, you give my clients the best price, and you're reliable, accountable, and all those wonderful things. And that to me is the greatest gift, because then my clients are happy. They feel that I'm taking care of them. And it ends up being a win-win for everybody. It's not to say that you can't get that with getting a referral fee because they're appreciating your business. Yet I think that just takes the edge off, and it holds them more accountable the other way. Does that make sense?
The one thing I would also throw in there on top of that is that there are folks who, may not chime in on this call, but it's one of the things that we've talked about before is building that network of people and then potentially working together to do some forms of cooperative advertising to potentially help defray some of your marketing costs, as opposed to taking it in fees, share expense on the other side of it, so you can do some joint marketing. So you've got a team, and you've got, an estate sale company, and the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, whoever is part of your team, your what we refer to as wheel of divorce or wheel of probate, the support services that are there who work on a fee for services or commission basis. There's always value to cooperative marketing, and it's a brilliant way to market. You cut your costs down, everybody gets top of mind at the same time when somebody's going through whatever that life-changing event is. If they have that mailing piece in front of them that talks about an estate sale company or a clean out crew or someone who helps them divide the property up or any of those things, and of course your services as well, then whenever that happens, it's like, oh, well, these people have everything. And so that's a potentially good way to look at that but you're going to have to develop those relationships first. I mean, starting out, you've really got nothing to offer because you sort of haven't done anything yet. So you get the cart before the horse. If you walk in talking that, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to give you any money. I'm not going to chip into that. Haven't proven anything, but go build that group with the idea in mind, salt it in early in your conversation that, we're looking to do this and eventually we're going to do some cooperative marketing. Then when you come around to talk about it, you've got the ability to bring it up and it's not a new concept.
Thanks, guys.
Patty, I am gonna give a similar response, totally different type of question than Coley's, but someone had given Coley the response a little bit ago on not necessarily knowing what the seller's motivations were yet before he was presenting a price. I'm gonna kind of say the same principle generally applies to the referral partners that you have. I want to figure out how they like to be referred and what they look for in their partners, and kind of craft how we structure our deal around what they like to do. They might come out and say, yeah, I want to receive a referral fee. If they come out and say that, I'll probably structure a system around being able to. It's got to obviously, you with a license, you've got to be able to do it according to the code of ethics if you're a realtor. Okay, but I'll find a way to get them back. Okay. Normally they don't know. They haven't really thought about how they like to refer and whether they want money and things like that. So generally speaking, my payment back to them is to be able to promote their business. So I'm going to say, look, I'm marketing here. I'm going to push your business really hard. And that would be my payment back to them. I push them really hard. I push them to the top. I make sure that my audience knows about them. Normally, they're going to start bringing referrals to me. Every now and then, I've had people that said, I won't refer you unless you give me a referral fee. I've had a few people that said that, and we find a way to make it work. And unless I don't like them, then I don't find a way to make it work. Okay. So as far as what Tim was saying, in the past, I got all of my marketing expenses covered by vendors. I know of several other agents and investors that have all their marketing expenses covered by vendors. They make sure that they're providing a ton of information and value that's going to lead to deals, and they're pushing their vendor businesses just like they're pushing their own. And in return, the vendors are contributing every single month to offset the cost of marketing to your leads. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. But before I go in and say, hey, here's my pitch, I'm going to talk to the vendor first and say, how do you like to be referred? And what do you look for in your referral partners? And see if they give me some clues that I could kind of pitch toward when I talk to them.
And a great way to demonstrate that you're already doing that you're already sort of talking up their services, even though it's not them, it's that you can show them if you're doing mail and things like that with us. Ask your marketing implementation specialist to show you the wheel of probate. We can put it on your website, put it on your pieces of mail. And if they fit in one of those spokes, and you can choose who you want in those spokes, you may not want to have all of the same disciplines in each one of those spokes that we give you in the demo. But if you have a great clean out crew and you want that, say, I'm looking to fill this spot on my crew, and you'd be a great person to do that. I would point directly to them to be in a position to do that sort of stuff. So that's kind of where I would say is a great opportunity for you to already demonstrate that you're marketing. And I send these out to hundreds of people every week, and I'd like you to be the person that's filling that spoke. Now you're already demonstrating it. So that's a great way to get that done. Okay. All right. Hey, Bernie, what's up, man?
Just a real quickie, because you mentioned the service hub. It says senior movers. I haven't been able to find any movers that consider themselves senior focused or educated or whatever. They're just movers, and they all say they serve seniors. So is that a thing that you guys made up, or is it a thing in the country?
I just have a lovely way to ask.
Sorry.
So the
You made
answer,
it.
there are in fact companies that focus on senior movers, and mostly when they are doing that, the people that do that specialize in extra care for things that are of higher value for them. They talk about the fact that they're very careful with packing antiques and things like that. That's generally what that refers to. And then if you look at that sort of stuff, that may be what you want to try to find a mover that will do that. That's kind of what that means. Now, having said that, you may want to change that spoke in your hub to something that you feel more comfortable saying, and that was the point I was making before. Call it what you want, but if you're focusing on seniors, find a mover that will tell you that, yeah, we really do take extra care to do that. And there are certainly people in our market here in Florida that they do talk about that. So that's kind of where that came from.
Okay. Thank
Also,
you. I know it was a small point.
And Bernie,
yeah, also Bernie, I would add is that you can call some of the, nursing homes, adult, senior communities, and ask them if they know of any moving companies that see consistently who's moved people over there. And typically that might be a good lead for you to find somebody like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Bernie, in our area in Sonoma, what's more typical is you find the mover or the person under senior help, organizer, and they
Like
normally
senior
have a source.
settler, that's one I know already in Marin.
Yeah,
Senior
exactly.
settler.
So
Very
that's
good.
more of what's in our area. Is the moving company is more like van lines moving, whatever it is. So it's the organizer. But I want to go back to what Alina said, and that is, I'm telling you, call the old folks homes, call those assisted livings. They are a great source of business. Just stay out of mine. You know which one I use. And it's great. I mean, it is a great source of business that is not necessarily someone has passed away, right? It is a great source of business. Everybody should do that. And what's great is the people that are, they call them concierge, right? They want to talk to you because they want you to refer the people that to their home, and they'll do vice versa. They're not looking for money. They're not looking for a referral fee. They just want reciprocal referrals.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bill. It sounds like I want to change the name on my wheel.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Well, but I just want to bring up to the call, Bernie and I had a great call the other day. But the thing, I definitely am all for other sources of what leads. Like for me, probate led to divorce, probate led to senior homes. I learned a lot when I was about senior specialists when I was dealing with my mom. But you got to work the leads that you get when they come in, right? We can't avoid the lead, right? Sure, I love the soft referral. I love that. Who wouldn't? But you've got to work the leads that you're getting, and it's got to be number one priority when you get them. I just got mine in today. So please take all these extra items that are coming up on this call or this video and make sure you call those leads, get them into your marketing system. I'm sure Bruce says the same thing. And for better lack of expression, attack. You got to go for them, right? And they're going to sort themselves out between cold, warm, hot, and now. So.
Well, a nicer way to put that, attack them with help.
Exactly.
I like that. Attack them with assistance.
David Bell, what's up, man? Go ahead, David.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Wait, who am I talking to? Tim?
You're talking to everybody.
Okay. So I had a quick question. What are letters of office?
Letters
Do you
of
mean
office.
letters?
Yeah, letters of office. I heard there was a guy, RJ Bates III. I follow him. He's like a big time wholesaler on YouTube, and he had someone on his channel, and they were talking to a person with a probate situation, and the guy on the phone call asked the seller if they had got letters of office. I'm just trying to figure out, what does that mean?
What state are you
Letters.
talking about?
I don't even know what state that they were calling. To be honest, I don't know.
It sounds like a letter of testamentary, which basically gives the person the executor, the executrix, the ability to handle the estate, to sell the property. Maybe they just used a different term, and that's what it sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I'm sorry, could you mention what was it called again?
It's the letter of testamentary, meaning they get it from the court. There means that they've been appointed the executor to the estate, so they can make decisions on they're the ones that you would want to speak to.
Yeah,
You pronounce
The
it
decision maker.
pronounce it
Testamentary.
testament.
Yes.
So there's two different types of letters, and different locations in different states do call it different things. I've never heard of letters of office. I'm assuming that the person messed the word up.
Okay.
Maybe not, but I'm assuming. Letters testamentary is when there is a will, and the court is honoring or pushing the interest the direction of the will, and they give letters testamentary to the executor that the will said, this is the executor, this is the person that's going to be doing it. If there's not a will, then the court will generally give letters of authority.
Okay, so that's probably what I think he
Or
meant.
letters of administration, forgive me, letters of administration. I messed up.
Administration.
Letters of administration.
So, all right. So hold
They
on.
both do the same thing though.
Okay, thank you. I was just about to ask you that. You said letters of administration?
Yeah.
If there's no will.
Yeah, David, just remember, it's really important in your opening conversation that you find out who's got authority, or where is the authority. Is it still in the court? Is there an administrator? Is there an executor? Is there a power of sale agreement, a power of sale somewhere in the trust or the probate?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate you saying that, Bill. Oh, and somebody had asked me where the location was. Now that I'm sitting here thinking of it, the caller, he was in Chicago. It was the Chicago market, so I'm not sure.
I literally just looked it up, David. In Illinois, it's called letters of office. The thing that we're talking about is called letters of office.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, I haven't either. So that's what they call what we refer to as letters of testamentary, or all the other terms that it's used. Each state has, unique ways they refer to it. In Illinois, that's what they call it, letters of office.
Does anyone know? I'm in New Jersey. Does anybody know the term that they use in New Jersey by any chance? Or
Yes, it's what we mentioned, letter of testamentary, or letter of what do we call it now? Administration. Thank you. I was going to say authority. Yes, because I'm in New Jersey as well.
Okay, cool. Because I'm in Burlington County. So just to get a full understanding, so the letters of administration or testamentary is pretty much the letter that they get from the court that pretty much tells who is the executor. Okay,
that's correct.
That's all I really kind of need to know. I appreciate that.
No problem. Thanks,
Absolutely.
man. Good question. Appreciate it. Eric, you've had your hand up there, buddy. What's up?
Yeah, I've got two questions. One, when it says special status under court supervision, what does that generally mean?
What state are you in?
California.
So what it means is the court has deemed the inheritor not competent to manage their own affairs. And that happens a lot with elderly. So.
Hey, Bill, does that also go for minors?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That is for minors too. But the thing I just want to say about this is just know that your county probably has most of the authority, but the state is going to be advancing the money for that person's care, support, or if they're taking charge of a minor, the expenses, and they're going to want all that money back. So, you know, I don't know, it would put I've never seen it put a damper in this final sale, but it definitely creates a layer of bureaucracy.
Got it. Thank you. And then the next question I had a case that was, they had bond fixed on the same date, bond fixed at 792, and then later on the same date it says bond fixed at 460. So can you guys tell me how the bonds work and why there might be a discrepancy so that I can elucidate the confusion here with the client?
So when you reference the bond, are you talking about it's from the state of California, or I'm
Yes.
just a little confused? It's from the state of California?
Yeah.
So that could be the money that they advanced for the person's health care or whatever they've done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize is if you're passing away and you don't have medical insurance and the state's paying for it, they reserve the right to take for first dibs of the money out of your estate.
Bill may be correct. I would have said it something else. So go research and figure out which one of us is right. I think it's an insurance policy that makes sure that the executor or the administrator. So typically administrator is doing the same job as the executor. They just weren't in the will. There was no will. So executor if there's a will, administrator if there's not a will. And normally if there's a will, there is not a bond required. So because the will normally waive that requirement. So if there's not, the administrator typically puts up a bond that acts like an insurance policy in case they mismanage the estate. Okay, and it's typically going to be a percentage of the estate's value. So if it changed, it's probably because the value of the estate was reassessed and changed.
Okay, thank you.
I see Susanna waved, probably with an answer to that as well.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm in Texas, and I actually was appointed by the county court, as a receiver for a probate property, and it was referred to me by a divorce attorney because the couple, as it stated in the document, couldn't decide on whether water was wet or the sky was blue. And so being the receiver, I take over total authority of the selling of the property, listed as the seller, listed as the listing agent, everything. Make the decision on what offer I receive, and we're finally under contract, supposed to close on it tomorrow. But yeah, there was a bond, there was a will. The heirs couldn't decide and agree on anything, so they had to bring me in. And then, so I'm doing all this work, and there was a bond of $165,000 that the attorney's office paid on my behalf, just in case anything went haywire.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so a receiver, actually one of my agents was the receiver and he passed away. And so I became the successor receiver to finish out the deal. And that's in Texas.
Yeah. So it says a bond, it says in California, the bond used to secure the estate during probate process called probate bond, and also known as the fiduciary surety bond. Additionally, the state of California may place bonds in advance for money they are crediting towards the state expenses. So that's what it says in the overview. And that's Golden State, these bonds are called. So that's an interesting one for California. So,
Right, great. We're gonna. Nobody's got their hand up. I'm going to take this opportunity, Lissa, to talk about a couple of things we talked about before the call. We are, and I'll segue back to sort of where Coley started with this. You had two people that were involved in a property, and one wanted to leave, the other one didn't. oftentimes that's the case in divorce as well. And all that motivation goes towards, finding out what's going to happen with the person who doesn't want to. Why do they not want to leave, and all of that. So kind of making that segue. Alyssa, if you would maybe pop up the brochure that we created a little bit, and I'll talk a little bit about that real quick. Alyssa, there you go. Okay, can you full screen that? Okay, so just scroll down a little bit. It's got a cover page. There you go. Got a cover page. Obviously, we can brand this any way you want, either as a company name, your picture. It's your choice, whatever you want to kind of put on that. This is here to start with, and we'll design it for you as you go. Go ahead, scroll down a page. So it begins to talk about the process. It talks about the options that a person might have, and how to get a valuation for the property. Go ahead and scroll. How to get it ready, how to manage the process, picking the right agent. Now, if you're an investor and you're not an agent, then obviously we would turn this over to why work with an investor and have the same kind of information there as well, and do that. It's also made in the green part at the bottom. Scroll on down, just kind of show that piece. It's made that way to be a self-mailer, so that if you wanted to fold it in half and put a tab on it, we could self-mail it. It can also be an insert into into your letters that go out. It has all the information on it, and it's just one more thing that establishes you as the right person, and it gives you the opportunity to have a leave behind if you're going to go talk to somebody or anything else. So this is a tool that we'll be offering and make it available for you starting in the beginning. There you go. Kind of look at it more in a page view. In the beginning of October, this is a tool that will be out there, and by that time we'll have one that's already laid up for investors as well, and also for an investor and an agent as well. So we'll cross all the pathways. And like I said, you can insert whatever picture you want there. You can put a logo on it or not, and we'll make it perfect for you. We're not nailing down pricing yet. We'll have it, but we'll make it very inexpensive so that you can use it as an add-on. And in order to get you kind of started on divorce, we're going to do something we've not done before ever. We've not really done a BOGO program. Melissa, can you pop your BOGO slide up there? We're getting a lot of penetration to this. The more people that we have involved in the divorce side, the better off we're going to be in terms of being able to offer you more support, more sales, more training, and all of that. And so we're going to do a buy one, get one. If you are a new subscriber or you want to add on divorce in your county, if you buy 1 month, we're going to give you 2 months. The deal is only good for today, tomorrow, and the end of September 30th. So if you can hear me and you're on the call, it's a great time to do it. Talk to your sales rep. Those are the 3 ways to do that. You can call us, you can send us an email, or just hop onto our website, jump into chat, and our support team will get you where you need to be to make that happen. We want you to take advantage of this. This is it is the least expensive way we've ever offered to do this. And we're doing it just to get some traction. We want to get enough folks in here to kind of put a program together, to do a full-blown training program and have a bunch of folks participate in it. So this is kind of where we started. Just get in touch with your sales rep. They're anxious and waiting your calls. We've kind of cut our pricing to the bone, and we're anxious to work with you. So that's kind of where we're at with that. You can see it up there, and we'll just leave it up. If anybody has any other questions they'd like to ask, we're 3 minutes away from the end of the hour. And if they don't have that, this has been really okay. Great. We got another question. And Eric, what's up? And David. Eric, you were first. What's up, man?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on getting licensed as a fiduciary?
Go ahead, Bruce.
Oh, yeah. I asked, what is everyone's thoughts on being licensed as a fiduciary to add more services?
So you're waving your hand there, Ronnie.
Ronnie's got an answer.
Go ahead, bud.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
there's no disadvantage to it unless you want to do something dishonest and unethical. But as long as you're an honest person, there is no downside whatsoever in having a real estate license, except that it might cost you a few shekels to get it. But also in Florida, which is where I am, you can be a real estate sales associate, which you have to work for some company like Keller Williams or Century 21. But after 2 years in Florida, you can become a real estate broker. And it costs you like $50 a year to maintain that license for the rest of your life. And there's no downside whatsoever unless you're dishonest or want to do something unethical.
Eric, were you talking also about being authorized by the court to act as an administrator? Is that your point as well?
I was asking about being a licensed fiduciary. Some of these accounts are represented by a licensed fiduciary, so I was wondering what your thoughts on being a licensed fiduciary.
Right. Bill, you had talked, I think, a little bit about that before, about people in your marketplace that are doing that. I mean, there are people that that's kind of what they do. Any thoughts, Bill, you can share on that, or Bruce? I think Bruce had to jump. Bruce is running up to do his training. Roger, you got your hand up there, bud. Go ahead.
Being a licensed fiduciary in Arkansas can be pretty much a full-time job, because you have the supervision of trusts that would put you not in a position to handle any real estate transactions. You overlooking real estate transactions that on the trust that you do, but you cannot do trust handling or trust oversight for financial institutions. But that's a pretty good gig doing that. But I think being a real estate agent, real estate broker, and having a license as a fiduciary, I'm not sure what goes into the supervision of it, but there's a lot more continuing education as the laws of the state that you're in change out. Attorneys may seek you out to be the fiduciary and the trustee of oversight for the execution of any trusts that are in. And that's where I think a lot of fiduciary work comes in, and why people become fiduciaries. Then they get employed by banks, and then they got a portfolio of trusts that they supervise, and each one of those trusts pay a monthly or annual fee for the fiduciary purposes. That's what I know about it. My brain's empty on fiduciary at that point.
Yeah. So I've dealt with fiduciaries. Mostly they're from the bank, but or they've been appointed care of the person. But I have never run into a real estate agent. But being a pessimist, living in California, and keep in mind, I love real estate and I love helping people. I just think that could be a very precarious situation, that you're managing the estate and you're going to be making probably the largest fee in that estate. I just think that, California lawyer would love to pick that up. But, again, if you're going to be super honest and above board, it might work out.
And I think that's what Susanna had said earlier. She actually is acting as that in a case. Susanna, is that right? I ask you to unmute there real quick.
Okay, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Are you acting as the fiduciary responsibility in a probate where you're also working as the agent?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, what's the process that you went through to get authorized to do that? And Eric's question was, is that a good thing to do? Is it lucrative and all that sort of stuff? It's a good thing for you.
Well, you have to do it on a one by one basis. On this particular property, I had to go in front of the judge and be appointed by the judge as the receiver. And they file it with the county and everything and send me papers on it. And then I just start to work on it. But yeah, you have to be appointed by the court. And like I said, I was referred to do this by a divorce attorney who was working also with the probate.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Eric, that kind of gives you the answer, and I think you need to check on what the process is in your market to, kind of see where that stands. That's kind of the best answer we'd give you. David, I'm going to give you the last word here, bud. We're at the top of the hour, so ask it quick.
Hey, how you doing, Tim? My bad. I meant to ask this earlier. So I wanted to ask earlier with the probates, right? So the executor of estate, are they like the final decision maker as far as getting the property sold?
Well, it depends on, we had the earlier discussion about if they've received the letters of authority and dealt with that. The only thing that it would be different about that is if the court still has oversight over them, and some of that depends on your marketplace. But in general, the personal representative, which is the generalized term that refers to the executor, the executrix, whoever's responsible, has the right to enter into a contract. They basically are acting on behalf of the person who passed away. So if the person who passed away had title to the house and was in the estate, they would have the ability to sell that property. It may take until it closes for it to actually close on the property, but it's all local market dependent. So you're going to have to determine who that is, but that's the person who speaks for the person who's deceased, and they speak on behalf of the estate.
Okay, I fully understand that, Tim. So my last question is this, as far as, because I'm a wholesaler, I'm a full-time wholesaler. I was talking to another wholesaler and he was mentioning something about having signatures from all of the other heirs. So I was just a little confused. I thought as long as you had the PR signature, you can do the transaction, but he was mentioning something about having signatures from the heirs, or am I misunderstanding something here?
Hard to say because it depends on the case. I mean, obviously that is something that typically isn't a circumstance in regard to a normal probate, but you may have a probate that's very contentious where someone has a contest to the will. They're going to argue about it. And so, they finally got all the parties to agree. They made a legal agreement. Everybody says, yeah, it's okay. That might be a circumstance like that. But this one sounds more like something where maybe it's not necessarily even in a probate, that you just got a bunch of heirs who, already had the house deeded back to them. They got it in the probate and they want to sell it. So you got to ask what the circumstances are a little deeper.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Righty. Great call today, guys. Lots of really great questions. Jim, you want to do your thing here, buddy?
Absolutely. I want to start by we had so much active participation today. We did not get to any of the chat questions. So I want to apologize to you, those of you that chatted in questions. If it's anything pressing and you need to find out before the next call, please just contact support@alltheleads.com. And before I do the normal close, I just want to say what I was really impressed with on today's call. We had 11 people actively participate. It wasn't theoretical. It wasn't like, it was actually practical questions that you were running into. And that tells me that you guys are out there, you're working leads, you're taking action, and you're running into situations. So we had 10 or 11 people today that are out there actively producing good questions. And as I always do, I want to thank all of you for being here today. I want to thank Dill, Coley, Michael, Roger, Casey, Patty, Bernie, David, Eric, and Susanna, as well as all of our great coaches. And we had a lot of interaction, a lot of participation, a lot of good ideas. I want to challenge all of you, just take one idea, one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.